What do you know? I really came full circle this time, didn't I?
Where in the have you been?
Yeah, I don't really have a spectacular answer for where I've been. I've just been behind the scenes, making illustrations, doing artistic studies, getting back into writing. That's one of the things that I've been a little more attentive towards since I'm trying to tell a story. I even while I'm recording this, I don't really know how to explain. Life just happened and I've been working silently. In the process of writing the script and recording the audio for said video, I was going to go into a more somber subject. To be honest, last year wasn't the greatest, and for many of you, I'm pretty sure this year wasn't the greatest. I do hope that time will improve for everybody, including myself, and all we can do is put one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. When October rolled around, I thought it would have been nice to attempt the monthly art challenge. No, not that art challenge. It may be the one challenge people associate with October, but the beauty of art challenges are the many other people capable of making them. A good friend of mine made her own prompt for the month deemed OC-tober, which meant for 31 days I'd draw my own characters. And to be honest, it sounded really awesome. When I started OC-tober last year, I did pretty well. I managed to get to the halfway mark, but by the time I wanted to start on prompt 16, October had came and gone. I felt it was in poor taste for me to not finish what I started. That's typically how I approached previous art challenges, but this time around I felt guilty in a way. I wanted to finish what I started, and by the result of that, I actually made some of the best artworks I've made in a long time. There were a few times where I took a detour to make art for other people, or even in the case of Pokemon, I did the Pokemon TCG contest. Unfortunately, I didn't make the cut, but there's always next time. I learned so much in my time away regarding my art and the efficiency that I've gained from making my art. I'm still slow, but I think that's more or less my intention. Quality over quantity. I learned to utilize the lasso tool, isolating individual spots and adding details. I learned about gradient maps and how they can strengthen your illustrations with the preset color palettes. I've learned the importance of thumbnail sketches and even brainstorming in advance. I also learned about applying various effects such as clothing textures, fur, hair strands, magical powers, and more. Now, I think it's time you all saw the process for each one of these illustrations, and I hope you enjoy. We start with day 1. Technique. I chose a character I want to redraw for ages since my DeviantArt days. Yeah, we don't talk about DeviantArt. Anyway, the character featured is known as Artifice. You can think of him as my story's version of Gambit from Marvel. He's a kid who is enthralled by games, even willing to take them to extreme places. Day 2's prompt was lift. Pretty straightforward. I chose one of my heavy lifters and one of my favorite character designs that I've done. His name is Chase Lautner, and his power enhances his physical strength, reflexes, and durability by substantial margins. He hasn't had much time in the sun as other characters, but I enjoy drawing him nonetheless. Day 3's prompt, Cyberpunk. The character I featured here was one I haven't drawn much, maybe twice in all my years, but his most defining feature is his cybernetic arms. I admittedly hated the sketching process for this piece in particular for that reason. Cybernetics and machinery are one of my weakest areas. Regrettably, there are aspects in the background as well that I wish I colored differently, but we live and we learn, right? Day 4, Ship. This piece features two characters, both based on real people, and at a point was a real pair, in a way. Some of my favorite designs I've made are those that are real individuals in my life, and I'll do my best to capture their awesomeness. On the left, the girl goes by Malevolence, and on the right, the guy goes by Petros. Respectively, they use Poison and Dark Earth abilities. Day 5's prompt was Beast. There was no better fitting character to draw in this section than the Fakemon design I made named Valexier. I had to include Pokemon in this challenge, it's one of my favorite series. Valexier's design is based on Cape Lions and Alexander the Great, and it's officially the first Fakemon I've designed. I would really love a plush made of him someday. Type-wise, he's a pure fighting type, with a tail that serves as a scimitar. Day 6's prompt is Illuminate. This character that's featured is named Wick, a boy who's enamored by the light and will go to any means necessary to show how beautiful it can be. I drew him once before, say around 2018 or so, but he had an overwhelming similarity to Nier from Death Note. At the time, I think I was watching the series or rewatching it, and I wanted to draw this character and have this same sort of vibe, but it didn't work out that way. He needed more time to grow into a unique character all on his own. As far as the techniques I used in this illustration in particular, subsurface scattering was one of them, and I have to say I love how the end result turned out. Day 7's prompt was Machine. Right as I mentioned in Day 3's prompt on how machinery was one of my weaknesses. Granted, in this illustration I focused more on the parts of machinery and included a character who excels at making gadgets tailored to armor. His name is Daniel Smith. His friends call him Danny. His powers revolve around water manipulation, which definitely clashes with his mechanical prowess. Day 8's prompt was tease. This one was easier to lay out as the characters here encounter each other often in my story. The girl you'll see is named Adrienne, and she has a strong infatuation with my main character, Draco. Any chance she gets, she'll tease Draco to fluster him, at times even encouraging him to make a move. But our hero certainly has an oblivious side. Day 9's prompt, combust. Here was where I experimented with the perspective rulers I found in the Clip Studio asset store. Not sponsored by Clip Studio, by the way. Where I wanted to draw this character called Pride in a more dynamic light. This prompt was ideal for drawing a character with a lot of fire, if you catch my drift. Her heat is so strong her original clothing has melded to her skin, and her natural hair burns to a short length. This is also the first of many characters in this challenge that I draw for the very first time. Day 10's prompt was Phantom. We're already at the 1/3 mark in the challenge. Oh, how I've missed my My Hero Academia OC Shizuka. We're not going to talk about the discourse from My Hero on this video, but maybe another one. I first made him in 2017, which was 7 years ago to be exact. How time flies. I had this idea of a quirk user that is an archer that moves through the shadows, even being able to phase through the arrows he makes to attack at close range. Even called his quirk Phantom Force. His piece was the first to experiment with gradient maps. Of course, I took the lessons I learned here into the next few works of this batch. Day 11's prompt was festive. It's not the traditional festive people are accustomed to. I guess the best comparison would be the drone shows that you'd see. The ones I'm familiar with are the Pokemon specific ones. This was the second drawing I did where I applied gradient maps to the characters after building them up in grayscale. One regret I have with the finished piece is the boldness of the lines on the buildings in the background. I shouldn't have made them as thick as they are, but we learn and we keep going. Day 12's prompt was memory. One character in particular came to mind for this piece, and his name is Aluko. I've drawn him a handful of times in the past, even had his own short story on Webtoons, it being my first official attempt at a manga-style short story. I think after day 11 I needed some time for my brain to wind down, so the background here wasn't as detailed as in some of my previous drawings. Day 13's prompt was ferocious. I picked one of the more aggressive characters I've created, albeit the atmosphere of this piece isn't as ferocious as I could have gotten. I think I wanted an excuse just to draw Vincent. Really, that's how most of this challenge went down. Sometimes you just might miss a character and feel the urge to draw him. I did at least attempt to catch the power-hungry vibes he's meant to give off. Day 14's prompt was peace. This drawing more or less was a focus on the background itself rather than the characters that are in it. I found this reference image on Pinterest that I liked and wanted to get as close to as possible. Backgrounds aren't my strong area, as is a lot of other things. Many others feel the same, but you can't get better if you don't try. Of course, this drawing did provide me chances to draw my characters from more complicated angles. Day 15's prompt was team. Another tame drawing on the board. A simple background with a focus on a trio of characters I haven't drawn since 2016, I believe. I can't even say that year without furrowing a brow. It's apparent that I haven't drawn these three in several years. Again, not for any particular reason, just a mix of forgetfulness and other targeted drawing. They call themselves the Adraldas Trio. From left to right, Ren, Inigo, and Rai, respectively. Day 16's prompt was cut. The character featured here is my girl Kumori. Kumori here was one of the first characters I drew alongside Dragio, and I believe the first I ever gave a sword in her design. This drawing gave me room to test out some swinging motion techniques and further background practice. Y'all probably wouldn't believe me if I said Kumori started off as a Sasuke clone. Yeah, I definitely wasn't the most imaginative guy when I first started drawing all those years ago. Day 17's prompt, tournament. And man, when I tell you, this is one of my favorites from the entire batch. Two characters I've never drawn before, and one of them belongs to the very friend who made this challenge. I hope I made her proud. Purely focused on the series that jump-started my art path, here are two Dragon Ball OCs brimming with power, set up Xenoverse style in the Universe 6 vs Universe 7 tournament from Dragon Ball Super. On the left is my OC, who's more than meets the eye, by the name of Elevate. On the right is the descendant of Vegeta and Time Patroller, Sorel. If you can't tell, I'm really proud of this one. Day 18's prompt is fauna. It's just a very green post with some rolly little gals and guys. I drew out a species of wildlife native to the world in my webcomic project called Chromatic. I like the idea of roly-poly with numerous colors and shells that could change into armor or weapons for defense. I guess they also take on the traits of beetles with the assorted horns. I call them roly scarabs. I don't know, I like them. Day 19's prompt is Espresso. Another character of mine from the early DeviantArt days. Yeesh. Only this time I made her really pop in the beauty department. I can count on my fingers the number of times I've drew her. Roughly 4. And every time I was disappointed by how she turned out. I call her Maribel, by the way. I chose her grabbing espresso from a local coffee shop in Shockwire City, another location in my webcomic project Chromatic. This is where I paid closer attention to her hair and eye details, along with making better use of the lasso tool. Day 20's prompt is pirate, and we are now at the 2/3 mark of this art challenge. I was searching for a pirate themed OC, and I realized I didn't have one. At least not one that was updated enough for this video. So I returned to a character who belongs to a fellow artist named Elias on Instagram. I drew his Shark Boy OC Jack some time ago, but I didn't quite catch that energy that Jack was known for. Day 20's prompt was a way to kill 2 stones with 1 bird, redraw Jack in a way that better fit his character, and practice more perspective shifts in the drawing itself. I do hope I actually captured the vibe of Jack this go around. Day 21's prompt is gift, and I knew exactly what I wanted to draw here. Day 21 featured another one of my characters who I only had concepts for, finally bringing her to life in a way I'm happy with all around. Draco is shown here with a young, colorful girl who goes by the name Hope, as he gives her a bejeweled necklace as a sign of their friendship. Here I also revisited the gradient maps, as I was not applying them as much in the previous days since day 13. Day 22's prompt is Journey. I'm sorry guys, I had to do it. I just had to. No challenge for me is it complete without Pokemon. The character featured here is named Clyde Masters, a Pokemon OC I unfortunately haven't had much time to dedicate to, along with his unique Quilava and Mawile as they journey through a forest searching for a new Pokemon to catch. Day 22 was another character heavy drawing featuring a herd of Wooloo, a Palmo, groups of Cutiefly, and a sneaky Crobat hanging from above. Day 23's prompt is Bloom. Back-to-back Pokemon OCs, am I right? The third of the Pokemon focus pieces, this time with my very own grass Fakemon as the focus. Once again, my goal was to prioritize the background elements over the character itself, as this is still an area I need further growth in. Pashubarb, who is the focal character here, is peering down from its branches as it witnessing the assortment of flowers in bloom. Day 24's prompt was Dragon, and oh boy, he was tough to draw. This was the third character in this challenge who was only a concept up until now. Dragon anatomy isn't an area I'm strong in either. Can't tell you how awkward drawing his wing cape was, and the expanded wing. Not on the dragon side was his Daft Punk style helmet. That was also really tough. The reflections and adding the mirrored sheen the helmet gave off. Day 24 ended great as a whole, and I was really glad I got this character named Calamity onto the page. Day 25's prompt was Swish, and admittedly, day 25 was finished before days 22 through 24. The character I drew here is named Rochelle, and she belongs to my boy AJ here on YouTube and Instagram. She's one of the cast members he made for his comic Black Lotus, available in his bio and in the description. I took a completely different route with her, as I didn't rely so much on lines to build up her shape, rather I adopted a paint-over style that many an artist use depending on who you know. Gotta say I love the way I rendered her hair, my favorite part of the whole piece. Day 26's prompt was Rogue, and boy I missed this character, Phoenix. My OC Phoenix was one I haven't paid as much attention to since he was made roughly 11 years ago. The last decent drawing of him was back in 2021 where I didn't give him any color. Since I was incredibly slow even then at the Inktober art challenges, times changed and so is he. He looks good in this nighttime setting, where his roguish self thrives. Here I definitely paid a heavy focus to the background details as well as Phoenix himself, and the payoff was certainly awesome. Day 27's prompt is Ascend, and oh, we are ascending alright. Right back into some Pokemon. A flock of angry Staraptor and Staravia are after my precious Tenacious. What could they possibly have done? Either way, the day was focused on them all. I desperately strived to capture the Pokemon watercolor style. Unfortunately, I don't think I captured it very well. Still one of the many things I hope to learn going forward. At least I have a better understanding than I had here. Day 28's prompt was Gothic, and this one, I'm gonna keep it real, it was strange. I didn't take the standard Gothic approach with all the black aesthetic, yet I made more of a black and white feel with my Lady Domino here, wearing a corset, those being a part of Gothic attire. I did my best to include as much black and Gothic vibes into her design as a whole, the black eyeshadow and lipstick being part of that. I wasn't really certain where to go with this one. Probably didn't capture the goth vibe very well. Day 29's prompt is game, the final stretch. Literally, if you made it to the end of this video, you have my heart in your hands. My young man here, Akahoshi, Draco's youngest brother, is a hardy soccer player, rather gritball in my webcomic project. So much so he's adopted it into his fighting style, kicking superheated balls of flame at his opponents, even adding some weight to the kicks with rounded objects found in the field. I've drawn Akahoshi several times before, but never to this quality. The depth of his hair, the texture of his shorts, and the motion in his kick, all of it makes this art really pop to me, and all of it makes this work one of my many favorites from this batch. Day 30's prompt was costume, and this one is instantly one of my favorites, no contest. It features my favorite girl, Virgo, and it's a callback to an Inktober I did 6 years ago, where my OC Draco cosplayed as Izuku Midoriya. This time it's Virgo cosplaying the bunny hero, Mirko, and she approves. The vibrant colors, the quirky personality of Virgo, and the way she shaped her own hair into bunny ears, and the zany manga-style banter with Mirko and Deku at the end. It's so great, I love it. Day 31's prompt, otherwise known as the free day, otherwise known as prismatic. This took an entire month to do. I'm serious, not even joking. With 25 characters, it might as well have been this year's art challenge. This one takes the crown as my all-time favorite from this challenge. In my stubborn nature, I included 2 more characters which are never drawn until this piece. So many characters I haven't drawn in years, and some I brought back just to make them awesome. The manga cover feel too, it takes my heart away. No debate, the greatest group image I've ever made. Seriously though, if you're still watching after all this time, you're the best I could ever ask for. This challenge was, in fact, a challenge. So many hours, so many failed saves, looking at you, Clip Studio, so much of my love poured into each and every one of these. In a way, this challenge also commemorated my 12 long year journey as an artist. I look forward to continuing this journey and making new memories together. Until next time, everybody. Swim safe out there.
As you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade